Alright, welcome to the Let's Play / tutorial of Kerbal Space Program. My name is Vickerman. That's the handle I go by on Steam and other places. What we're going to do is we're going to start a series of videos that is kind of meant to be an introduction to all the aspects of Kerbal Space Program, which is a new game being developed by Squad. That you basically have these Kerbals here, the little green men who want to go to space. And we have to get them there with a bunch of rocket parts and wings and such. So before I begin, want to note, have a couple mods that I use pretty much all the time. First one is Mechjeb. Stands for mechanical jeb. It's kind of like an autopilot slash gives you information about your ships so that everything isn't just trial and error. Essential to building ships right the first time and avoiding killing these cute little guys. So you can get that. I'll put the link in the description. I recommend it. Obviously, whenever there is an update, this is version 0.21, Mechjeb sometimes has to be updated as well. There's also a Kethane mod. Don't worry about that just yet. We'll get to that eventually. We're going to start kind of small in this first episode. Just basically going to introduce the features of the game, and we will launch a very basic rocket. Because you need a rocket before you can do anything in Kerbal Space Station. So I'll start the game. Alright, generally you're going to start a new game, and I'm going to call this my Vickerman, and I'm going to put campaign in quotation marks because obviously there is no career mode yet. So we are playing in sandbox, but I'm going to be playing through a set of objectives that are kind of based on real life space exploration. So we'll start small and work our way up. This is my flag. I like that one there. The capsule. And then we'll start. Alright, so alright, this is the Kerbal Space Center. This is the tracking station. We won't worry about that just yet. It allows you to see all the ships you have in space currently. Over here is the space plane hangar to build planes. The main thing you build is a single stage to orbit plane, which is kind of like a reusable shuttle type of deal. It's also extremely difficult to make, so we won't start there. This is the astronaut complex where you hire Kerbals to be blasted into space. We already have a few that start out with, so we don't need them right now. Plus, we are not going to send any Kerbals just yet. So let's go to the vehicle assembly building. This is the main building for building rockets. And just about anything, really, except space planes. Okay, so the parts are divided into tabs. We have pods, which are the command modules for any ship. You need one of these to move. Some of these are manned, and these are automatic. They're unmanned. So then we also have propulsion, which we have engines here of various sorts. And then mostly fuel pods here. All kinds of different things. We'll get into more and more as we go. Control is mostly for RCS thrusters and other ways to control the ship. These allow you to move easily in space. But we don't need them. Structural is, as you might think, just various structural pieces to hold the ship together. Aerodynamic. They allow us to get through the atmosphere efficiently and aerodynamically. Utility is kind of a catch-all. Has batteries, generators, docking ports, wheels, all sorts of little gizmos. Science, we have various scientific instruments that actually at this point have no use, except these, which are added by the Kethane mod. Just kind of ignore them for now. Now, to start any rocket program, we need a rocket that will launch. So let's start with an unmanned rocket with a very simple engine. So any of these here are valid options for command pods for an unmanned ship. I prefer the remote guidance unit where possible because it's small, compact, easy to place. Now I've selected it and I move the mouse wheel up. That's going to put it further up into the sky. Very important for building multi-stage rockets, which we will get to in good time. Alright, so what just popped up? This is a window from the Mechjeb mod. It gives us information about the ship. Acceleration, the amount of thrust, how heavy it is, and the thrust to weight ratio. This is the most important thing here, because if this is not over 1, that ship's going nowhere in the atmosphere. It might go somewhere in space if you have 0.5 or something like that. Be very slow, but in the atmosphere this thing is going nowhere, which we would expect because there's no engine. So let's start with the simplest of all rockets, a solid fuel booster. There are two of them. There's a small one and the big one, but go big or go home, right? Stick that right there. Alright. That thing will fly just like that. Surprisingly enough, that's it. That is a rocket. However, I like to add a few extra components for maximum efficiency and style, of course. First thing is the aerodynamics tab is going to be helpful. We'll use an aerodynamic nose cone to put on the top. Otherwise, this thing is going to have a lot of air resistance. That's going to help. Now, I like to steer this thing a little better, so I use these winglets. These particular ones allow you to control the trajectory. They're built for rockets. One thing I should note is down here we have different tools to help us build things. This is the center of mass. That is where basically the center of all the weight in the ship is. That's helpful for designing things. We'll get into that at a later time. Center of lift is used for aerodynamic properties. As you can see, there is no lift, so it's all the way down at the bottom. However, I think when you add these, yep, that changes it. So you see, oh, and then there's center of thrust, which is where the power is going to come from. Okay, so, and this button here is various modes of symmetry. If you click that, it does double on either side of the ship. This is very handy for making rockets that are balanced and then that therefore work. Okay, so for the winglets, you can click through different kinds of symmetry, 6, even 8-way symmetry. That's a bit overkill. I'm gonna just go with 4. Nice balanced number. Put that at the end of the rocket to give us some control. And this thing is ready for launch. Now, at the very beginning of the space program, they don't really qualify as rockets. They're more of missiles. So I'm going to call this thing a missile. I'm going to save it. And then we're going to hit launch. Yeah. In the early days of NASA, they basically just put an astronaut on the top of an intercontinental ballistic missile. It's a bit disconcerting, but, you know, that's how it worked. Alright, moving this window over, that's a mod, so it isn't really optimized all the time. It's the Mechjeb that gives us our information for the vessel. Here we have the nav ball, which is directional and tells us where we're going, which is this little dot here. Hitting the D key will bring us right, oriented to this ball. It'll take us right. Hitting the A key will bring us to the left. The y-axis is inverted, so the S will go up and the W will go down. You can also do kind of a spin. If you hit Q, you'll go counterclockwise. As you can see, when I hit it, it moves these. So if I were flying, these winglets would be giving me that direction I want. And E will go clockwise. Okay, so this is the altimeter. The Kerbal Space Program is 76 meters above above sea level. This is the staging, which shows us the various engines, decouplers, and things like that. When we make more complicated rockets, that'll be more important. Right now there is one stage, stage 0, which will fire the solid fuel rocket. Okay, so when we're ready to launch, we hit spacebar, and that will go to the next stage, which is 0. And the rocket will launch. The solid fuel rocket burns at full thrust until it's completely spent. So these are basically, in all practical design, only used for getting a ship up off the ground for the first little leg of the journey. Because any further than that, we need some control. Speaking of control, hitting shift brings up throttle. Hitting control brings down throttle. That's going to make absolutely no difference with this rocket, but we will come back to that. I'm going to hit the spacebar and launch this thing now, so here we go. Up, 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 up. Look how fast we're going now. We are rapidly accelerating, slowing down a bit now as we approach terminal velocity, which is about how fast you can go in the atmosphere without really wasting fuel because of the way drag works. Not a physicist, but that's what I hear. So look at the altimeter. When we hit 10,000 meters, we want to turn in the direction we want to orbit, which almost always is going to be, as far as I'm concerned, to 90 degrees, which is east. And that will get us a bit of extra momentum from the Earth's rotation as we travel. So I'm trying to do that, but I'm out of fuel. One thing I didn't note is that this here is the stability control system called SAS. You can activate that with the T key. The ship will automatically then attempt to stabilize itself. As you can see, these things are moving on their own, and it's trying to steady the rocket. Okay, we're out of fuel, but we can hit the M key to pull up a map. Let's zoom in here. This is our spacecraft on the planet, and this is our path of orbit, or suborbit as it were. As you can see, this AP is the apoapsis, which is the highest point of an orbit, or in this case it's a ballistic trajectory, because we're just going to go straight back down. Basically, this is the furthest point we're going to get from the planet in our orbit here. That's very important later, but for now, that's the point at which we will stop going up and start coming down. So we can hit the period button to increase time. While you're in the atmosphere, you can only go to 4 times, but when you get out, you can go much faster. Alright, so as you can see, we are heading down now. Let's make a comment on these little symbols here. This one here is a retrograde direction. So if I put myself here, I'm pointed in the direction the ship is the opposite of the way the ship is going. As you can see, that means my bottom engine is going down. Let's slow down here for a minute. Directly opposite of that is the prograde. I don't think I'm going to be able to rotate over there to show you. I'll show you next time, I suppose. But it is a symbol kind of like that. It's yellow with, I believe, just... It doesn't have that X. Yeah, it's yellow and it doesn't have that X in the middle. You'll have to trust me on that. Well, I'll show you next time. So, as you can see, we are going to hit the ocean on the back side of the rocket, which is a bit strange, but that's how we roll. And kablooey. Kablooey. There. Ah, yes. As you can see, this is the flight results. A catastrophic failure. Not really a catastrophic failure in my estimation, because we have shown that a rocket will work. And we got pretty darn high. Highest altitude was 59,000 meters. Just about to space. Only 11,000 meters to go. Okay, so that is the basics of flying a rocket. Obviously, that's a very simple design that has no purpose but to learn, of course. I think I'll end the video with that. We've launched a rocket. We have seen it go up, learned about the map, and some aerodynamic properties, and the retrograde. We haven't seen the prograde yet, but we will see it. Next time we will build a better rocket and do some more interesting things. Until then, I'm Vickerman, and hope that you have a great time playing Kerbal Space Program. And I'll see you next time.